Hi there, this is Randall and I, the Bible Guy, continuing on in our devotional study through the book of Ephesians, where we're in Ephesians chapter 2, verse 1, where we start a new section talking about grace and faith. Awesome stuff. In verse 1 it says, "And you he made alive who were dead in trespasses and sins." What does it mean to be dead in trespasses and sins? Now, when Adam and Eve were made, they were made with three distinctive parts. A body, which is how they related to the world around them. A mind, which is how they related to themselves. And a spirit, which is how they related to God. When they ate that fruit, did they die? Well, yes, they died eventually when they started getting older. But actually, the most important part of them died on the spot. Their spirit. Their relationship with God was broken now, and their spirit died. Now, as Christians, we can actually have a relationship with God based upon Jesus' blood sacrifice on the cross. And now, as the Bible tells us, we can actually come boldly before the throne of God and talk to God Himself. So, before we actually came to Christ, we weren't just immature, we weren't just sick, but we were actually dead. The most important part of us was dead. The only part that is going to live forever. That's our spirit was dead. Now picture this. You take an old, broken down car, doesn't run anymore, and you put on a beautiful new paint job on the outside. You make that car look spectacular. But you don't touch the engine. You know what? That car is still dead. It's still not going to run anywhere. A person that has a beautiful appearance in their body, outwardly they're just gorgeous. But if their spirit is dead, the person is dead. They're not going to live forever with Jesus. Now, what's the difference between a trespass and a sin? It seems to make a distinction that there's actually a difference. Because look at this again. It says, "And you he made alive who were dead in trespasses and dead in sins," is the way you could read it. There's two different things going on here. Now, to trespass is actually a willful or wanton choice to disobey God. So you know what God is telling you to do, but you choose to do something else. Whereas sin is actually to miss the mark. It's that archery term we talked about. You know, when you're shooting a bow and arrow and you miss the target, the bullseye, that's called a sin, where you've actually missed the mark, where you've missed that mark. So you can actually be dead in either a willful disobedience of God, which is a trespass, or missing the mark, which is sin. But can you sin without knowing it? Yes. You can miss the mark. You can try to hit that mark and miss it. You can not even know what that mark is and miss it. So yes, you can sin without knowing it. Romans 3:23 tells us that all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. But what is that mark? Well, in Matthew 5:48, Jesus tells us, "Therefore you shall be perfect, just as your Father in heaven is perfect." We must perfectly follow every single law in the Old Testament, the Ten Commandments and all that's wrapped up in them, to be perfect. Have you ever lied? Have you ever stolen anything? Have you ever lusted in your heart? Have you ever been greedy and wanted something that someone else had? Have you ever hated a person or been angry with a person in your heart? And you've broken the law, the Ten Commandments. But now we can be made alive. Praise God. Our spirit can be made alive through what Jesus did on the cross. And now we can have a relationship with God through Jesus. This is Randall and I, the Bible Guy, signing off.